Good evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for January 15th, 2019. We'll begin with the salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Apologize for the late start. Mrs. Bullen, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Brasky?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Okay, before our meeting, we had an executive session. Ms. Gallagher, you want to summarize our executive session, please?
Certainly, Mr. Harvey. The board met in executive session to discuss several items of personnel and potential litigation.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we have a couple, before we get into our public comment, a couple of, I guess presentations probably be the best word. We're going to begin with Jude Martin Chinfano from the Lower Bucks Chamber of Commerce, who is here with Mr. Bill Coolowin, I see as well.
God, these guys are
Oh, hello, okay. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone.
I'm sorry, you do have to just use the microphone, otherwise we can get you on the tape. Thanks.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Manesh Pathak. I'm the Executive Director of the Lower Bucks County Chamber of Commerce. Just a quick few words from me about the Chamber. So the Chamber has been around since 1958. We're located right here in Falls Township on 409 Hood Boulevard. The Chamber has a little over 1,000 members, covers 22 municipalities, and we are committed to the community, advocating for the businesses and for the businesses. I'm going to call up our chairman of the board, Mr. Bill Coolowin.
So I have some brief comments that I've prepared. I promise I won't be too long. Sorry. Happy New Year, everybody. And spring is right around the corner. So thank you for giving us the time this evening. I'm Bill Coolowin. I manage the business and office park at 225 Lincoln Highway. And for the 2018 and 2019 year, I'm the elected board chairman. Here's a brief overview. The Lower Bucks County Chamber of Commerce was founded in 1958. We recently celebrated our 60th anniversary with a festive gala that was held at the Sheraton, Bucks County. There are approximately 1,000 members, as Manesh mentioned. The majority are small to medium-sized businesses, and it also includes many larger organizations, such as PICO, St. Mary Medical Center, Wood Services, United Way, Parks Casino, and Sesame Place, and of course the Bucks County Sheraton, just to name a few. We're considered the largest and most active chamber in Bucks County. Chamber members are represented by a 22-member board of directors. Our building is located right here in Falls Township, and we are very, very grateful to be able to overlook the beautiful Lake Caroline. You should come and visit our building because we've just spruced it up with volunteer labor, and it looks really fresh. So what's the mission of the Chamber? It's to help businesses with programs that educate, advocate, and provide networking opportunities. So we educate through programs like the Young Professionals Summit, the signature program known as Leadership Bucks County, Future Leaders programs and camps in conjunction with the community college, as well as Women in Business and the Keynote Monthly Breakfast. Our next keynote subject on February 14th, human trafficking, right here in our backyard. It'll be presented by Nova. We advocate through the Government Affairs Committee and through our affiliation with the PA Chamber of Commerce. And we network through monthly business card exchanges, speed networking, and at every meeting and event. In short, we bring people together so that they can find ways of doing meaningful business. The Lower Bucks County Chamber of Commerce wishes to recognize Falls Township for its initiative, Live Here, Spend Here. I see the orange and green stickers distributed last year, displayed all over town. And having the directory of businesses available on the township website is a great way for those who live here to find ways to spend and to do business together. So thank you. The Lower Bucks County Chamber of Commerce would like to open a discussion with Falls on how we can add value to the initiatives already in place. So let's imagine a new business opening up in Falls. The business may wish to meet local business people for networking and advice. They may need a place to obtain certificates of origin. They may wish to join a peer-to-peer mentoring group. They may wish to learn the inner workings of Bucks County. and they will find that at the Chamber. On the flip side, the Chamber wishes to be an advocate for Falls Township among our members, understanding the why of township services, taxes, and regulations, providing information to our members on navigating licensing, permitting processes, and to get businesses to realize just how business-friendly Falls Township is. We think together we can combine forces to attract and welcome more businesses to Falls Township. So we would really like to have that discussion. Thank you.
Just wanted to thank you again for allowing us to be here tonight. And also, if there are any businesses who want to connect with us and be our guests, we'd love to have them. Our most important thing is we're asking our members to think Chamber first, support Chamber members, and to also support the local small businesses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Absolutely, sure.
I have our monthly Outlook magazine and my notes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Over the past several years, especially following a lot of the leadership of Mr. Dent's, the Live Here, Spend Here program, the business directory, we've been trying to do our best to make Falls Township even better for small businesses and medium businesses and everything in a business. One of the complaints we get oftentimes from people is, about vacant areas, storefronts, things of that nature that sit empty for a while, and then obviously it's sort of an eyesore, and it doesn't necessarily make the community look very good if you have a what you thought was a prime piece of real estate that doesn't fill up. And so anything we can do to help that happen, and certainly welcome the Chamber to interact with the township government so we can work together and help each other out. I know the Community and Economic Development Commission, which we've kind of been reforming, I think could make a kind of a good partnership. Yeah.
We have so far 2 members. Our first meeting is probably in the next couple of weeks. I'll be sure to invite you to it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you, and thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. And obviously, when this is broadcast to people in the township, Lower Bucks County Chamber of Commerce, right on Hood Boulevard, right just near the United Way building, and the Farrell's Hills Fire Company, is there for anybody who has any interest, and obviously I'm sure they're online as well. It's like everybody else on the planet. So feel free to look them up and ask them for any assistance you might need, and how you can improve your business, which of course would be good for everybody. So thank you again. Appreciate it. Well, not necessarily. You can free to ask now, I guess, if you wanted to, among yourselves, but we're going to move on with our agenda. We do have a presentation of awards tonight for the Holiday House Decorating Contest. I see Mr. Andrews is here from our Park and Rec Department.
Happy New Year, everyone. The award shows continue. Seems like we're here every month with a new award. We're proud to be here to announce the winners in our annual Holiday House Decorating Contest. Just for reference, we had 6 nominations this year. The Park and Recreation Board chose 3 homes within the township to be the winners. So we're going to announce the winners, bring them up to get their certificate and a gift card, and take a photo with you guys if you don't mind. And without further ado, I'm going to announce the winners. Third place, 855 Trenton Road, the Kilmer family.
Thank you so much, Ross. Have the third one. We'll go up front there.
Okay. Second place winners, 81 New School Lane, the Ianacone family. And our first place winner from 24 Poplar Lane, the Rizzo family. Want to get in front of the guys?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, we began the holiday house decorating contest many years ago just as a way of recognizing those residents here in Falls who put a lot of effort and time and a lot of electric bills into literally brightening up the holiday season. We thought it was a nice way to recognize them and just to allow them to come here and they could get nominated by anybody in the township who wanted to nominate a home. And as you heard Mr. Andrews said, members of our Park and Rec Board go out and judge the houses. And so I've lost track of how long we've done this. I know it predates Mr. Andrews. Yeah, by several years, but yeah, we always appreciate it. It's always one of the things that recognizes us as a community, and I think helps build community. So thank you to Mr. Andrews and his Park and Rec Board for their work, and also thank you to everybody who decorated their homes to make the season brighter. So, okay, we have public comment. One name on the resident sign-in sheet, and then 5 on the non-resident sign-in sheet. First name, Donald Markert. Is that right?
Yeah. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address the supervisors and the citizens. This is a continuation of my previous presentation. I get a chance to complete that, so I wanted to complete those for the public comment. So I'm just going to start off with a couple of things that I found interesting. I worked in industry for almost 42 years. I worked both at U.S. Steel and Roman Haas Bristol plant, which was a chemical manufacturing facility. So some of my comments will be predicated upon my experience there at Roman Haas. When I talk about, I look at the 99.9% of Elcon's ability to convert their product, and I have to be very suspicious and suspect of that because there's all kinds of emissions that occur out of facilities that have storage tanks and transportation issues that aren't really counted within that 99% conversion rate. And I have to worry about many things that I've experienced myself in terms of when you deal with a complex manufacturing process, there are many aspects of that that are determined by the capital budgets that are originated without any idea or concept of the ultimate design and operation of the manufacturing facility. So you deal with a capital constraint issue that really impedes the ability of the ultimate construction to do its intended task or mission. So you end up having to deal with that on a maintenance side, which is extremely frustrating since you can't really redesign the facility through maintenance activities. So it addresses many aspects of that as it deals with the reliability of the equipment. Ultimately, the ability to convert anything at 99.9% is predicated upon having the ability to run the operation reliably. I'm kind of distressed by the fact that I see that they rely heavily on process automation. My experience with process automation has been very mixed. As we introduced process automation at Roman Haas, we found that the ability of the operator to really understand what was going on behind the scenes became very difficult. And their role as oversight or their ability to intercede or intervene in process upsets was diminished by the fact that they no longer understood what the process was doing. That's a major issue for us because from a disciplinary perspective, I was the president of the local union there from 1998 till 2011, and we had to deal with this on the disciplinary side for process operators all the time. And it was frustrating when you understood that ultimately the process was really responsible for a lot of the upsets and not the actual individual operator. So I do have major concerns. One of the major concerns I have is when I looked at a map of Falls Township on Google, and I looked at all the schools that we have in the area. Within about a 5-mile radius, every school, with a couple exceptions of the Pennsbury School District, reside within a zone where we would potentially be adversely impacted by an upset at the Elcon facility, and I'm sure we're being impacted already by Wheelabrator. So it's very disturbing, but if you extend that even further, and you look at, for example, daycare, recreational facilities, baseball fields, soccer fields, lacrosse fields, everything, parks, recreation, they're all located closer to that Elcon facility than my own home, which is very disturbing. So if you do have an upset, or under normal conditions when you're putting, potentially millions of pounds of material from the input side into the process, and only relying on LCON to determine through some arithmetic process the amount of outfall that would occur through their process out into the environment, into the atmosphere, into water, or ultimately as solid waste, you have to be very concerned, because that over time ends up being an extraordinary amount of material that gets deposited atmospherically onto the population of Falls Township. The other interesting thing is that when you look at processes, as they age, they become less reliant and less reliable and less viable, because they require more and more maintenance activities. My experience with maintenance, I was a maintenance mechanic for many years. I was a machinist by trade, and I did a lot of maintenance activities. That the interventions became more frequent, and they were larger in scope and required additional effort, and did not necessarily restore the operation back to its original level of reliability or functionality. So it's a major concern that when you're dealing with not just the implications of the permitting process addressing, the theoretical brand new operational ability of the plant, but you have to deal with ultimately the aging of the plant over time to determine to what extent we're going to see that ability of the plant to generate as little waste as possible diminish over time as a result of the aging of the process itself. I had to experience, and I did experience, Roman Haas plant was over 100 years old when I was working there, and we saw that over time the ability of those processes to run reliably was really significantly diminished over time, and you had very little opportunity to correct that. I thank you very much. I urge you not to approve LCON's permit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's the only name on the resident sign-in sheet. Are there any other residents who wish to speak? Okay, go to the non-resident sign-in sheet. Sharon Furlong.
Good evening. Happy New Year. Thanks for letting me back. Part 3. It has come to our attention that the area around the proposed LCON site is also the home for some threatened, rare, and/or endangered species of plants and one species of turtle. Allow me to begin to enumerate. The Biles Island area was surveyed several times, the latest of which was completed and published as part of a massive 465-page report titled, quote, Natural Areas Inventory Update, end of quote, by the acknowledged scholars Dr. Ann Rhodes and Dr. Timothy Block, released in March of 2011. The Biles Creek area was considered by the authors of this report to be one of the major designated number 1 I'll get that after. Conservation priorities due to being a threatened type of ecosystem. This ecosystem is called a freshwater tidal marsh, where plants and other organisms have evolved to be able to both endure and thrive while being inundated with water twice a day, as well as survive being exposed to wind and sun when not submerged. Therefore, the native plants and non-native organisms of these special ecosystems are often found in few other places, even in the best of times, and now, when many of these areas in our county and our state have been destroyed or compromised, they're even rarer. There are 14 plants that scientists have identified as these special inhabitants of this almost gone kind of natural place. Of these 14 plants, Biles Island has 5 of them. Here are the names and status of at least 3, and I'm sure I'm going to be mispronouncing them because it's not English. Zizania aquatica, known commonly as Indian wild rice, is considered both rare and vulnerable, and those are capitalized words because they're actually categories of endangerment: rare, threatened, imperiled, etc. Scirpus smithiel, also known as Smith's bulrush, is considered endangered. Sagittaria subulate or subulata or Sagittaria calcinea, also known as owl leaf, AWL, and hooded arrowhead respectively, are both rare and endangered, with one of them a candidate for endangered species listing altogether. One of these species, Filiformis sagittaria, also called threadleaf arrowhead, is now considered extirpated, meaning removed from Pennsylvania altogether. One of the remaining 2 is on the island. In addition, there is also a turtle inhabiting Biles Island, the red-bellied turtle. In Pennsylvania, it is considered both vulnerable and imperiled, which is another way of saying endangered. Biles Island and its banks are on Biles Creek, which is so near to the proposed site for Elcon that the presence of these plants located in an area deemed to be of highest significance to the scientists who study our county must be taken seriously. Indeed, the entire ecosystem that the island represents is, in and of itself, imperiled. The only area of this kind not completely destroyed or poisoned beyond redemption other than Biles Island is the nearby marsh edges of Neshaminy Creek State Park. That is it. The rest are gone and probably forever. The argument often given when talking about rare and endangered plants, some of which are small and not showy, is usually something like, so what is the difference if we lose such a rare plant that's found in few other places on Earth? Nothing major will change if it's lost. There are other plants that can grow. But to put it bluntly, we don't know enough about how the interlocking pieces of the jigsaw puzzle called life actually works to be able to make such a broad statement such as, well, what's the difference? We don't know enough, and we need to admit that and accept that and make decisions based on caution and humility. There are many examples of how one human action deemed insignificant at the time ended up causing a cascading and rippling effect, ending in environmental damage or chaos, which then had a direct and continuing impact on all life forms, including human. For instance, we're still learning how the loss of the passenger pigeon and the American buffalo had, and still has, a direct impact on large swaths of the natural world in the United States. And this is only 100 years after extinction. Or, in the case of the buffalo, mass destruction ending in the species being removed from 99% of the range. I'd like to finish this if you don't mind, because this is a really little minor lesson but major in terms of the ramifications of removing one species. So just in terms of the buffalo, it's now hypothesized by scientists who study these scenarios that the elimination of the buffalo began the overall change of the Great Plains itself, causing native plants to die off, new and invasive plants to flourish, and the significant topsoil loss to begin. Indeed, articles have been written concerning how this contributed to what resulted in the early 20th century environmental disaster called the Oklahoma Dust Bowl. Therefore, allow me to repeat, we just don't know if removal of, say, the red-bellied turtle because it had been poisoned or its home becomes toxic will cause an equally significant event. But really, does anyone want to make the kind of decision that could set up that as a gamble, an experiment in living and dying? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sure, thank you. Adrian Morgado?
Hello. Good evening, Adrian Tafani Morgado, Wrightstown, formerly of Pinewood. The passing of Samuel Snipes and the incredible relationship he had here in Falls Township. Well, I ran into his daughter the other night at a meeting, and I wanted to share a little story real quickly as I was expressing my condolences. And I was surprised to see or hear upon reading that he was a major force in keeping a nuclear power plant out of the Delaware River Basin there in the Burlington area. I just was blown away by that he took that initiative. So I was talking to his daughter Susan about that, and she said, you know how that happened? He was milking a cow. And as he's milking this cow, he's thinking about the Burlington-Bristol Bridge and the incredible amount of people going back and forth, and of course surrounding community. But this Burlington-Bristol Bridge had an impact on his thinking, and it just propelled him to want to keep this out of there. Unfortunately, he won that. We don't have to look at that. We don't have to worry about climate change and its effects on the rising water levels and the different rains that are coming in and the amount of rains that are coming in. So if he had that kind of foresight all those years ago, we have a group of people that are really very, very much involved with their own foresight and understanding that putting a complex industry that might not have the best interests of we the people at heart, of understanding all that goes into it. I'd like to see that support for this group too, because I think they're on to something. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lynn, is it Creasa? Is that right?
Hi, I've been a resident of Bucks County and I've lived here since 1967. I've always considered Bucks County a pristine, beautiful place. And now that I've become more active in the community, I've realized that this beauty is just a facade. Big business is polluting our air and water, leading to detrimental repercussions such as rising asthma and cancer rates. Please do the right thing for the health of our people in our township and beyond. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Natalie O'Donnell?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Natalie O'Donnell. I'm from Middletown. So although I'm not a Falls resident, I am very concerned about Elcon. I've followed them for 3 years. And the more I learn from a lot of more educated people about the environment, the more I'm scared. Like, you can see it on my face. I'm scared of Elcon. The real reason I came today after working 10 hours, like, we all work full time. We have families, we have children, we have volunteerism. Thank you for that, by the way. I'm involved in my community. This gets me to stop here at the meeting to say, please educate yourselves and please learn more about who this company is, what they really want to build here, and why we are so scared. I really want to invite every member of the board and Falls resident townships. There's a public meeting on February 6th at 7 p.m. Fallsington Friends Meeting House. That's 9300 New Falls Road, which is right at the intersection at Tyburn. It is an informational meeting. I attended one of these meetings 3 years ago, and that's when I started to get afraid. So please share this information, attend this meeting, learn who they are, why we don't want them here, why they want to build here, and why we have a right to have them not build here. So please attend the meeting February 6th, 7 p.m., Fallsington Friends Meeting House, 9300 New Falls Road. It's an open, friendly meeting. You can ask questions and you can learn more. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Steve CK?
Happy New Year. We made it to another year. May there be many more for us. Israel. I've heard from my wife. She went to, in the 70s, she went to work on a kibbutz. And I've been hearing about it, I think, every year since we got married. She had a really great time. She talks about Haifa. And I don't know, she had such a great time there. Everybody took care of each other. It was a great community. And maybe that's why she picked me, a democratic socialist, to get married to. But this plant that they want to build here is from an Israeli company. And then this, because I'm getting old, I'll quote an old movie. Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine. So I just wonder, and I'll get back to this at the end, I mean, why are they coming here? And my wife did complain how far away Israel was. She had to go to Paris and then another flight, and it took forever. I didn't have a chance to go, so I looked on their website. And I don't know. You can tell a lot about a company when you look at their website. And I was just, this is the first time I looked at it. I looked at it last night. And frankly, it just looked like a joke. Some of the things I saw were, oh, we're global in reach. We're operating industries all over. And then I clicked on Europe, and they said, we're working to have plants in Europe. And they had no, they didn't mention any specific place in Europe. And then they said, we're working in the United States. And I clicked on it, and it was just Falls Township. And then they mentioned their Israeli plant, and they said, a new plant will be operational by mid-2015. This is news. It's 2019, and on their website, they have outdated information about a plant that is going to be ready in 2015. They want to show support for Elcon and Falls Township, so they have letters of support from the unions. And they have one letter signed in August 2015 by Boilermakers Local 13. I mean, one letter. And then letters of support from industry. And they quote CCNJ, and they show a letter back from September 2015. And it's from the Chemistry Council of New Jersey, which represents manufacturers. So, I don't know. It just, you get an impression, from how they portray themselves. And this is the company that we're going to entrust these complicated procedures that could poison our water, our land, and our air. They need to be scrutinized a lot. I'm just very nervous and skeptical about this kind of company. And then, I don't know, I just don't know how, of all the gin joints in the world, they come to Falls. And I don't know, I have my own goofy theory, because there was a meeting about 3 years ago, and the CEO was being real chummy to me. And then I saw sitting next to the CEO, Marcel Grun. And he was at that time, the Montgomery Democratic chair, Montgomery County, and he was being real chummy with the CEO. And I was wondering, hey, Marcel, did you recommend him to come to Bucks County? Why didn't you put him in Montgomery County? But I didn't get a chance to talk to Marcel. But then I read February 2nd, 2018, a headline. The PA Democratic chair, which Marcel had become, he stepped down at the request of Governor Wolf. Marcel Grun announced his departure today, citing criticism from the Wolf administration about how he handled allegations of sexual assault against Democrats in the legislature. So I just want you to realize that there are powers above you, political powers, that may have an interest in this plant, but some of those powers have come and gone. So hopefully you'll represent your people and do the right thing here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, those are all the names on the list. Appreciate everybody coming out and voicing their opinions. Just for those at home, and I guess even for some of those in the audience, just a reminder, as of now, we have no application in front of us from Elcon for anything. They still are in front of the DEP. My understanding is that after a very lengthy review letter they received, they asked for a 30-day extension to comply with everything they were being asked to answer. There's, again, part of a very lengthy process DEP goes through. It's expected to last somewhere, 9, 10, 12 months, if not more. So we don't have any kind of timetable. We have not received anything from them. We have received no notice from them regarding what they may plan to do. So, but obviously everything that does happen will be in the public. as these meetings are in the public, whether it's this meeting or a planning commission meeting or an environmental advisory council meeting or something else. And those are all open to the public and people are allowed to speak. So we will absolutely promise you to keep everything as we always have out in the public. So we're going to move with our agenda now to item number 2, which is consider notice of intent to award a bid for Quaker Penn Park electric and camera installation. Okay, Mr. Gray.
A bid opening was held on December 7th regarding the Quaker Penn Park electric and camera project. 4 bids were received. The first bid was from Zesnak Electric Company, $60,200. Second was from RF Design and Integration, Inc., $62,858. Third was from Fidelity Alarm, $68,495. And finally, Meridian Property Services, $71,308. The board is asked to consider issuing a notice of intent to award at this time.
Okay. If we don't mind, I know Mr. Lawson's here. If we could just get, for the public, just an idea of what exactly is going to be going on down at Quaker Penn Park and regarding the cameras on electricity. Just a brief summary.
Good evening. So what we're going to do down at Quaker Penn Park is, now that we cleared along the waterfront, we added a new recreation area, tot lot. We're hoping that the public will use it more than what it was used before. The lighting down there was more towards the boat ramp and not up towards the field, so we added in conduit pole bases and poles. Now we're asking for the electric to be hooked up to those lights. It will light up substantially the area that had no lights before. We added a compost toilet, so we'll have lighting for the compost toilet, and we're adding cameras. So periodically throughout the start of the park to the end of the park, Matt Markey had placed certain spots that he wanted to put cameras. So we will put cameras on them poles. I believe there's 5 or 6 cameras, and we'll be able to see everything down there and record things. Before there was damage because there was no lights, minor damage, kids driving their trucks through the field, turfing it up and stuff like that. So now we've added some wooden barriers to stop that, adding the lights, and adding the cameras, hoping that the public will use it more. I think it's very more inviting to use it now than what it was before. We've had some complaints from residents. They felt a little scared, same as the women through the community park where the trees were overgrown, which we cut them back this year and everything opened up and everyone liked that. So hopefully Quaker Penn will become the next community park.
All right, thank you. Any comments or questions from Mr. Lawson?
No, sounds great.
No. None. I have none.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Appreciate it. All right, so board members do have a spreadsheet in front of them reflecting the bids that Mr. Gray ran through. We do know that with the lowest bidder, Zesnak Electric Company, that according to Ms. Gallagher, who reviewed the bids, that there were some serious issues which we believe are fatal defects that will disqualify them.
That's correct, Mr. Harvey. We did review all the bids, and we do believe that there is at least one fatal defect with the Zesnak bid.
Okay.
What are these notes at the bottom on the spreadsheet?
I believe that they tie into notes that are in the body of the spreadsheet.
That are indicated he inspected the site with Jason Lawson.
In September. Yeah.
But he didn't attend the mandatory meeting, is what you're saying?
That's correct.
So is that note, is what he's saying his reason was for not attending the meeting? I'm not confused why the notes are even there.
I have not had any conversations with the any of the prospective bidders. I was just told that he was not at the meeting.
Yeah, he was not at the meeting.
What is the note? Why did it say the bidder indicated?
He was on the bid that was submitted to the township. He indicated he was at a meeting with Mr. Lawson on September 18th instead of the date that was required per the bid instructions.
So I guess that was probably his excuse for why he didn't go to the bid. Okay. Comments or questions from board members? Mr. Galloway?
No questions right now.
Mr. Boraski?
No.
Mr. Dents?
And what kind of check are they required to, a cashier's check is what they're required to provide?
The bid specs indicate it's supposed to be a certified check.
But that falls into the category of waivable defects that the board can waive on its own, as opposed to other defects which are considered fatal defects.
Correct.
Just for the record, all four of the bidders had some kind of, I guess we'll just say, screw-up in their submissions. Some of these are minor, some of them are more serious, and so that's kind of one of the issues that the board is looking at. Some of them are minor defects, just a matter of confusing what a question was asking and answering no, and they clearly probably meant yes, because the question was a little confusing, something like that. So the board at this time is considering. Obviously, there's an option to reject all the bids because all of them had something at least a little bit wrong with them, or to award the bid to one of the other three bidders, since the lowest bidder appears to have had fatal defects, which are the serious defects in their bid, which disqualifies them. Any other questions?
So the process now would be that we approve the next lowest bidder.
It would be a notice of intent to award to the next lowest bidder.
And
They would then be required to correct some of the defects that were identified, and then they would have to go through the responsible contractor ordinance review with Mr. Jones' office.
Okay, and they said they can meet the responsible contractor ordinance.
That was what they indicated in their submission, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Rocco?
No, this isn't the first time a low bidder was had a fatal mistake, so.
They all have fatal mistakes.
They have mistakes, but yeah, I understand the fatal or waivable, so.
And one other point of order, the board would also, if that's the avenue the board would like to go, there would have to be a formal motion and vote to reject the lower bid due to the fatal mistakes, and then the notice of intent to award to RF Design and Integration.
Have they ever done substantial work for the township before, RF Design?
They've done camera work here at the township, yes.
But nothing that required the RCO?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I think it was more bits and pieces, so it didn't rise to the level.
So if they didn't meet the RCO, then we would have to either go to the next lowest bidder or reject all bids after that, which
That's
would be
correct.
next month.
That's correct.
Or we reject them all now and make them rebid next month.
That is an option.
I'll make a motion to reject the lowest bidder, Zesnik, due to fatal errors with the with the bid.
The bid, yes.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'll also make a motion to intent to award to RF Design and Integration as the next lowest bidder at 62. I'm on help here.
858.
858. Thank you.
Okay. Motion made. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay. Is there any public comment? See no hands. Okay. Motion made and seconded. Since we're spending money, we have to do a poll the board.
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay. Item 3 is consider purchase of vehicles for the Public Works Department. Mr. Gray?
The Public Works Department has budgeted and is requesting board consideration for the purchase of 3 vehicles. They include 2 Ford F-250 utility body trucks and 1 Ford 350 crew cab. The purchase of these vehicles would be from Koch 33 in Easton, Pennsylvania. Total cost of all 3 vehicles would be $127,491. The board is asked to consider these purchases. In addition, Mr. Lawson's here for any questions you may have.
Okay. Mr. Lawson, if you don't mind, just give us an idea of what these vehicles will be used for, and if they're replacing, are they replacing vehicles? Are these new, or what are we doing with the old ones?
The vehicles will be replacing ones that were sold in municipal bid. The F-250s will actually be replacing pickup trucks, and we're moving them to utility bodies. with the plows. The F-350 will be replacing the Dodge Dually, which we'll be using for towing. We went with the 350 and the diesel. That way we can tow the skid steerer on the trailer without any problems. We're having a little bit of a problem towing it with the 250s. The front end gets a little up and down when we're using it. So that's why the 350 is a little bit higher. We went with the diesel. That's a $9,200 option. So that's why it's a little higher. And they'll replace the ones. All be upfooted with 8-foot Western plows. And the F-250s came in a little bit, $488 more than what we originally thought, because we added the upgraded tires and the larger skid plate underneath that we forgot on the spec. Saved $2,590 from the original price from that we originally put in with Mr. Gray at $49,861. It came in at $47,271. We had a little bit of negotiation going back and forth, and they were saying, "Oh, we can't do it. We can't do it." Then all of a sudden, Koch 33 Ford came in and said, "We can beat that price." So that's how we got the lower prices at the end. This was something added yesterday and today with Pete. So we got late numbers.
Okay. All right.
We're looking at about they said a 12 to 14 week production and delivery time.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Lawson?
Nope. None. No.
Very good. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Appreciate it. All right, sir. Is there a motion then to purchase the 3 vehicles from Koch 33 Ford in Easton, PA for the amount of $127,491?
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
Pending
solicitor review. Sorry. Pending solicitor review.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 4 is consider proposal for engineering services from Jones Engineering for the 2019 Falls Township Road Improvement Program. Mr. Gray.
Township received a proposal from Joe Jones at Jones Engineering for professional services for the 2019 Road Improvement Program. These services include surveying and base mapping, core samples, engineering design, and bid administration. This is for 5 roads, which include roads in the Hedgerow Woods section, Fletcher Drive, Rice Drive, Lyons Drive, Simons Drive, and Gilbert Drive. Again, this is for design work. Total cost is $294,500. The board is asked to consider this proposal from Jones Engineering.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Mr. Jones?
No questions.
No. None.
Okay. Well, you're getting off a little easy here with Mr. Dent so far.
Only one item so far, day
Yes.
one.
It's the honeymoon,
Item 1.
It's the honeymoon period with Mr. Dent so far, Mr. Jones.
I was thinking.
So, any public comment? I see no hands. Is there a motion then to authorize the expenditure of $294,500 to Jones Engineering for the engineering services for the 2019 Falls Township Road Program?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, item number 5, minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes, one from December 18th and one from last week at our reorganization meeting. Any comments or questions regarding the December 18th minutes?
No. No.
Okay, is there a motion to approve those minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. With the next minutes, I actually found just a couple of spelling, that's all. A couple of spelling errors toward the bottom.
The teacher in you, Mr. Harvey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a couple, I made comments toward the end of last week, recognizing 2 individuals who helped with the e-waste, the efforts to work with senior citizens to help collect e-waste for them and with their names, just to make sure for their sake that they have the spelling correct, and very easy mistakes. I mean, it's not obviously no fault of Mrs. Pullen. Mr. Houghton, fourth line up from the bottom. It's actually H-U-O-T was his spelling, Huot. Okay. And the next line down, Mr. Sonny, last name is spelled S-O-N-N-I-E. So, those are the only corrections I had. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Excellent minutes, Mrs. Pullen.
Okay, engineers report. Mr. Jones?
Mr. Chairman, you have a report in front of you, board members, that is an abbreviated version, to say the least. It's that work that was worked on in December, which I'll remind the board was not under our supervision. So there's 5 development projects that had activity on them, and we had that report given to us from T&M Associates. On the capital improvements projects, there are a couple items I can point out. The culvert project is going as described. We've identified Blau Road. We can likely get most of those homes, if not all of them, out of the special flood hazard area, so that's good news. We did run into a bit of a snag with FEMA in obtaining data from them in order to complete the full study down through the old culvert. So we're still working on that. That's going to probably follow the construction of the project that we have. So that's going well. We'll get the Blau Road folks out of the floodplain, and it'll be a little bit of a delay before we know what we can do for those on Blau Court. And then the road program, in terms of that, Walton Drive is going to be quiet for quite some time. Everything is done except it's under road-based pavement. The new curbs are in. They're going to delay putting the sidewalks in until, the weather is a little bit more cooperative. On Share Drive, we have all of the storm sewer improvements done, and they will prepare and pour the curb tomorrow on the even numbered side.
All right, comments or questions from Mr. Jones? Mr. Galloway?
No question.
Mr. Boraski?
No.
Mr. Dents?
No, nice job on your first minutes there, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Rocco?
I have none.
Okay. The only
I
question.
hope Sullivan's watching that.
Yeah. The only question I have regarding the sidewalks, you said they're going to wait. What kind of weather are we waiting for? I mean,
We're waiting for the weather to rise to have fair temperatures above freezing. I guess they don't want to take the steps that they would have to put blankets, and we'll get a better product if they wait. So I'm anticipating probably in March, April.
Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. Is there a motion to accept the engineer's report?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, bill list. Bills this month in the amount of $1,989,639.50. Of that, roughly $1.2 million, roughly $900,000 is for salaries, a little over $300,000 for benefits, insurance, about $400,000 for the road program. So of the roughly $2 million, 1.6 is just those 3 items: salary, insurance, benefits, I should say, life insurance, health insurance, and the road program. There's also about $26,000 that our police department pays into the system we use for DNA. Insurance. Yeah, those are the highlights, the bigger ticket items. Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the bill list?
No question.
None.
Yeah, I just have one. It's the advertisement in the Courier Times. It was $9,626. That seems kind of high for us. What do we have going on?
That was likely the zoning amendment.
Zoning.
Yeah.
That was a lengthy advertisement.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of drives me crazy. I'm not sure anyone reads it in the paper, but
Yeah, unfortunately, the law is what the law is, and
it requires to advertise. There.
yeah, there's been a movement among municipalities across the Commonwealth to have the law change that would allow us to advertise, not necessarily newspapers, which costs us, as you heard, a lot of money, but instead use social media, websites, the cable channel that we run here, which we could do for obviously a whole lot less, if not nothing.
Right.
However, the newspaper industry makes a lot of money off of advertisements from municipalities and school districts and other government entities,
Right.
and so they lobby very heavily against that change. and they've been winning that lobby fight for a while now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are. But it's it's a good point.
Other than that, looks good.
Okay. Is there a motion then to pay the bills? $1,989,639.50.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, we have had an executive session beforehand. I see Lieutenant Ward in the back for our police department report.
Good evening. Chief Wilcox is at a DARE graduation, so he can't be here tonight. He wanted me to tell you 2019 Coffee with a Cop program will be beginning again. It'll be March 29th at the Senior Citizen Center in Fairless Hills. The start time will be 9:30. It's scheduled to go from 9:30 to 11. We are going to have an agent from the Secret Service there. If anybody's interested in senior fraud, they're going to do a presentation for us of some of the ongoing frauds that are going out plaguing our senior citizens. Chief for the Day program is also underway. Our first two chiefs for the day have come from Eleanor Roosevelt Elementary School. We're going to be moving on, I believe, to Oxford Valley Elementary School next week, so we'll have two more from there. Our TRACS program is now up and running, and we're testing it. That is the program where officers are able to not handwrite citations anymore. It'll be done via computer. It'll save us a lot of time and records with the girls logging the citations in, because it'll go directly from the car right to the court. And then the court will also save time for them not having to log it into their system. So we're only at the test phase right now. If everything goes right and everything works correctly, we're going to be up live in the early spring. So we'll keep you up to date with that. We are also starting the new safety net program, which is going to be replacing our rapid recovery. The rapid recovery was designed for people that have like Alzheimer's or dementia, or you have an autistic child that is nonverbal. You're able to put a bracelet on them, and we're able to track them via device. The technology was good at the time, but as everybody knows, technology makes leaps and bounds. That technology was based kind of like off a cell phone type signal, and it didn't work well in a heavily wooded area or a dense building. So this new program is called Safety Net. They use a different system that's much more reliable. They're better inside buildings, and they also work in shallow water. So it would really help us if someone does fall in the water, we can find them much quicker. The chief has some brochures he wanted me to hand out to you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks.
I believe we are getting that off of a grant, so we're working with Ben Salem with that. Ben Salem does that, have this program up live and running, and they really like it, and they said it's much better than the rapid recovery. The statistics are in for the end of the year. Last year, the department had a total of 21,300 and change calls for service, 2,700 motor vehicle citations, 619 misdemeanor felony arrests, and 243 non-traffic citations. That is all the chief had written down for me.
Okay. All right, comments or questions for Lieutenant Ward?
None.
No.
What's an example of a non-traffic citation?
Non-traffic citation is something like disorderly conduct, public drunkenness. It has nothing to do with traffic, but it doesn't rise to the level of a misdemeanor.
Right.
And we also it's also considered township ordinance tickets.
Thank you.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Just one
Yes, sir.
question. So do we know yet when we're going to be up with the safety net?
He does not have the date down here. It's not my program, but from what I understand, probably by the end of the month, we're going to have everything in place. We have to send some officers to training that are able to read the device, and that's what's holding us up right now.
Yeah. I just, my thought is, first off, I'm, obviously was happy to have the rapid recovery, and it was a great program, and if this is better, that's fantastic. I know we do some advertising in our newsletter that goes out twice a year. I just wanted to make sure we have the updated version, or if this was going to be up right around the time that newsletter was going to hit, I didn't want to have the rapid recovery in. And
Right. We still have the rapid recovery in use right now, and then we'll replace it with this.
Okay.
And all it is a bracelet. We'll be
Right.
taking that old bracelet off, putting a new bracelet on.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. All right, manager comment.
Yes, just a few items tonight. The township received a request from John Haney, treasurer for Levittown Continental Little League, requesting consideration for the annual donation we provide to them. The township did budget the funding in our annual budget. The board is asked to consider making a donation of $6,000 to Levittown Continental.
Okay. Comments or questions from board members? We do this every year to the different.
Yeah, that was my question. I think we usually give to Fairless Hills, Levittown American, and Fall Soccer.
Fall Soccer, Levittown American, and Fairless Hills Athletic Association.
But they
Do them all tonight?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe
Do them all
just
tonight.
and then you
Could.
can.
I know they'd asked for this a little early. I know, I know there was some issues. Certainly, we know that one of the, a pipe that froze in their main building, and so I don't know if this is part of the reason why they asked a little early. Does it matter if we do it now or do it later?
Fine with me.
Okay. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, might as well just do them now.
Okay. All right, is there a motion then to authorize the donations to the 4 youth sports organizations in Falls Township?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Township received a letter from the Bucks County St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee requesting a contribution to the parade. They did provide a budget for their upcoming event. We did budget this in our 2019 budget. The board is asked to consider making a contribution of $6,000 to the Bucks County St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Abstain.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Just want to announce several new businesses that opened in the month of December. They include McAllister Construction, 5054 Grace Drive in Morrisville, and John Beck Towing, LLC, 9266 East Tyburn Road in Morrisville. And finally, I just want to announce that the Patient First Mylars are ready for signature. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Board comments. Mr. Rocco?
I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Dents?
None.
Mr. Boraski?
No comment, thank you.
Mr. Galloway?
No comment, thank you.
And we do have some openings on our boards. I know one person, Ms. Colleen Horn, who I've talked to, has been waiting for a spot on Park and Recreation, and there is an opening. And so I'm going to nominate her to fill the open spot on the Park and Recreation Board.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we do have a couple other people who have put letters in. I know I made contact with some people. Some people I tried to make contact with and couldn't, especially a few people with interest in the CEDC. So I'd encourage board members to reach out and have some contact. Hopefully we can fill some of these spots in February. Okay. Oh, and I do, actually, the CEDC does have a spot on it for a board member. So there's 4 members of the public and 1 member from the board. I would like to make a motion to name Mr. Dents as the board representative to the CEDC.
I will second that.
All right. Any discussion? Anybody opposed to this idea? Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. And I think that's all the business we have this evening. I thank everybody for their time and wish everybody a Happy New Year as we did last week. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.